You know, you hear a lot of negative things about Dennis Rodman, but people don't actually know Dennis Rodman. They just see what they see on the court and what they read in the papers and say, God, he's a bad person.
Does it hurt you that the public perceives you as this bombastic, crazy guy?
No, I just think that I created this monster. I love Michael Jordan to death. I love Scottie Pippen, all these guys. But they really don't do the things that I do. I'm the only guy to go out there and do all the dirty work, take that abuse from other players.
This is a Silk exclusive.
Welcome to another episode of Words, Music, Dance. I'm your host, as always, Paulie the Bull, and we're back with another special episode, again, chronicling the ESPN, The Last Dance, the story leading up to their, last season, so the build-up and the breakdown of the teams. Last week, we talked about episodes 1 and 2. If you missed those, they're still on the YouTube channel. Go holler at that. This week, we're going to talk about episodes 3 and 4, and I got a new cast of characters here with me. So, you know what I'm saying? Lewis, you the only person that was here last week that is back again. So welcome back.
Thank you.
Once again, Knick fan, we're going to put that out there. Gene, you've been on the show, before. So, welcome back to the channel as well. Laker fan. Chris, Bulls fan, you already know what it is. You've been on as well. You got your own podcast, so shout out to the Misfits and all them.
Indeed.
Welcome. And first time to the show, first time to the channel. Miss Curly Top over here. Captain, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show. Also a Knick fan, so that's about as nice as I'm gonna be for the rest of the show. That's all you get. As Rel just hit me up saying he's coming. Hold on, now I got to do the intro all over again.
Oh my God.
Psych, we just gonna add him in. He right on time. We just getting started. He just made it too. We're gonna leave all that in. Jarrell.
Yo.
Time. I just went through the intro, so you just catching up. So Jarrell is also back. Knick fan as well. Now we got
Majority, baby.
Man, I should have just kept him out the room. Whatever. But welcome back. Welcome back, Rel. Like I said, we talked about episode 3 and 4 this week. So I want to go. Like I said, I want to go in order that they kind of spoke of on the documentary itself. So we want to first talk about Dennis Rodman. We'll give Rodman a couple, give him his flowers. Again, I don't want to jump to the part with him and Phil's connection first. I want to talk about Rodman specifically. So I want y'all to give y'all thoughts on Dennis, his career, everything he's been through, his celebrity, all that good stuff. So we're gonna go ladies first. Kathy, tell us your thoughts on Dennis Rodman.
He was a beast. The documentary showed that he was a beast. I don't know.
All right, a woman, a few words. I don't mind.
I don't know. He was a beast.
All right. Chris, what's your thoughts on Rodman?
I don't know, man. Rodman was one of those unique players. He started off as a high scorer, you know what I mean? And it was just high intensity, high energy. In high school, college, and then with the Pistons, he was a scorer. Then he changed his game and went straight to rebounding and defense. Like, Rodman reminds me of one of them kids that got like autism or something where they can't focus on a bunch of shit all around at once. You just give him one directive and be like, go. And he going to give you 110%. Like, he got the ball in his hand. Don't look for a pass or nothing, but he got you on whatever you need him to do, though.
So. Okay. Gene, what's your thoughts on Dennis Rodman?
I'm laughing at the autism comment because it's crazy. But
and no offense to the autistic out there,
no offense.
Let's just put that out there as well.
We'll have to get the hate mail, bro. Definitely.
Right. Gotta be getting crazy email. But I feel like to the point that Chris said, I feel like being that Rodman was able to do that, I feel like he was necessary and unique to be able to get to that level, doing what he did as Chris said, being a scorer and like an offensive machine, and then doing that in Detroit, and then in that same league with top caliber talent, being able to just switch and go completely defense and be a team guy and just be a, like a another screw to help fit all the pieces, shows me how dedicated he really was to the whole big picture, how he really wasn't about himself.
Good point. Good point. Lou, what's your thoughts on Rodman?
I think he was ahead of his time, for one. I mean, he was that linchpin, that utility man that you point him in a direction, go do it. He went and did it. He was ahead of his time. He was an artist that saw the picture fully painted before on a blank canvas type of player, and very, very much underappreciated. You look at his time in the Pistons, and he was just, y'all want to be grimy and dirty? All right, I did that. Y'all need me to get rebounds? I did that. Y'all need me to score? I did that. Like, he was one of those beasts where you just let him out the cage, and hopefully when all is said and done, he comes back to you in one piece.
Good point. Good point. And Rel, close it off. But what's your thoughts on Rodman?
Yeah, very underrated player when it comes to the history of this league. Everybody knows about the championships and stuff that he has, but just the value that he brought to a team. I think he kind of pioneered that whole, blue collar guy, that 50-50 ball guy. He's the one, one of the first ones to be diving all over the place, or jumping in the stands and stuff like that, trying to get passes. Masterful rebounder. I mean, there's as many people that have averaged double-figure rebounds after him. They all look a little different than him when they do it. He was more cerebral with it. He knew the trajectories. He had a nose for the ball. He always knew where that ball was coming off, exactly how to position himself. Boxing out, he made rebounding an art, and I don't think we've seen, like, back then it was like him and Charles Oakley when it came to that precision when it comes to rebounding. I don't think there's been anything like it since. So just to see the type of dude he was, and also like Gene said, he was unique. He was the type of player that he needed the right type of motivation, and once he got it, he was, basically, like you said, you unleash the beast. You let him go. As long as you found a way to motivate him, he was gonna go all out for the team, and definitely a piece that was necessary in all the success that the Bulls had.
Yeah, I agree with all of you. Like the main thing with Rodman, kind of to Chris's point, like the autistic kid, but but he was once you gave him a task or you gave him a direction, he was, and he had a 30 for 30 as well. So if anybody hasn't seen his 30 for 30, check that out, because that was definitely a good one to watch. But he was, always looking to be loved, wanted to fit in. Like a lot of deep rooted things in his story that, they didn't go delve into in this, but if you watch that, you'll see. And, he just was, he was focused, like you said, if you asked him to do something, he went out and did that. So rebounding became his thing. And like you said, like him studying the way the ball bounced off the rim, and it's going to go this way. This person's shot has so much spin on it. This person's shot is flat. And like people study the game and people work on offensive moves or shuttle runs, moving left to right on defense, but you don't hear anybody talk about rebounding as an art or a craft to study, to work on, and so that and to this day, like, I don't think there's anyone like him that does that or even thinks about rebounding as something to practice and focus on and study. People work on boxing out, getting low, things like that, but he's studying player shots. You know what I'm saying? He's looking at, like, okay, when he shoots the ball, he does it like that, so that just different. And we're gonna come back to Rodman later, and tie him all up to the Phil story, but also want to give some flowers to Doug Collins, Coach Doug Collins. Now, what I want to know specifically from you guys, because in the documentary, he kind of not took credit, but he kind of was like, the 3 years that he was there, he was like, listen, when I coached Michael was MVP, All-Star MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, scoring titles. So I don't know if he was taking credit for it or, but he was a putting that on his resume. You know what I mean? And they also spoke to his game plan was give the ball to Michael, and everybody else get the hell out the way. You know what I'm saying? So I want y'all to speak to Doug Collins, that game plan, that philosophy, and what did y'all think about him? Saying what he said.
Well, I think that was semi him taking credit, but also like kind of marveling in what he was able to do. But I think Mike was able to do that because that was his philosophy. So Mike talent-wise was better than everybody else in the league at the time. And when you're gonna have the offense basically entail y'all getting the ball to Mike and he makes something happen, the numbers are gonna be astronomical. He's gonna score. He had a defensive mentality already. So him being MVP of the league, he got the All-Star MVP. I mean, you unleash somebody that talented, it's gonna be hard for them not to get those type of accolades. But he helped give like Mike that confidence where it's like, okay, I'm controlling this league. I'm the best. I'm out here. Nobody can stop me doing anything, which I think helped. But I don't think his philosophy helped them win anything. You know what I'm saying? As far as it was just basically Mike shine. This is how he felt that was their best chance to win, was to have their best player do everything. And as we've seen, there's been no championship team that's followed that blueprint. So I think he was kind of off in that, but I can understand with a player that, how you could easily fall into that, where you could say, hey, you know what, this guy will take us to the promised land. But he got a lot out of Mike because Mike was, like you said, Mike said, hey, his philosophy was give me the ball, and no scorer is gonna be mad at any coach that gives them the ball. So
Right.
So they're gonna play hard and do what they need to do. But it's just that philosophy wasn't a winning one, but I think it helped boost Mike though.
Lou, do you feel because Mike also said he loved Doug Collins because he gave him the ball. Do you feel like he was like an enabler if anything more than a coach, or what do you think about that, Lou?
I mean, he definitely enabled them. Just listening to roll off, Mike was this, Mike was that. I didn't hear anything about the team. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't hear nothing about the team. Okay, what the team did. Like, Mike got all these accolades. At the end of the day, Mike is good.
Happened?
Right.
Yeah, Mike
he
was
wasn't looking for
say,
rings and championships.
You know
He's like, but my player did this.
Like, he used that crutch like, I got the best player in the world, so everybody else move away. But in 3 years, I mean, granted, he did develop Mike. He got Mike to be Mike. I give him more credit for that. But the same token, man, you're a coach. You're not there just coaching Mike. You coaching Pippen. You coaching Oak. You coaching all those guys.
Right.
Where they at? What happened 3 years? Y'all got bounced early. So yeah, all credits to Doug Collins for taking that step and pushing Mike to the limit he needed to be pushed to. But at the end of the day, it's a team. I get it. You want Mike to shine, and he was your bread and butter. And Mike said it. He was a Doug Collins guy. Like, that's my guy.
For obvious reasons.
Yeah, for obvious reasons. When they talked about bringing someone else in, he was like, "Nah, that's my guy." Because of course you're gonna ride with somebody who's helped your career blossom and take off. But just listening to him run off those stats of Mike, I'm like, and what did I do that year? And what did I do that year? And what did I do that? Like, it was nothing. No follow up to it. So
yeah, I
mean, all the credit in the world. You can have the best player in the team. Doesn't mean you're gonna win anything.
Right. Chris, as a Bulls fan, and they ran through that Cleveland series, which Cleveland should get some flowers too, because Mark Price, Ron Harper, Brad Daugherty, like they had a little squad. They had a squad.
Yeah, it was good.
But Chris, I want to ask you as a Bulls fan, run off your memory or your recollection of that shot, because Mike had a couple of shots. We always know about the last shot. We know about his UNC shot. We know about the shot in Utah. You know what I'm saying? But this shot was one of the most iconic ones. Him going right to left over Craig Elo. And then we got some more backstory that I wasn't aware of as well, that Ron Harper wanted to guard him, and the coach was like, nah, Elo got him. So, Chris, give me your thoughts on that shot and that play.
I forgot where I saw that, but I saw something where Ron Harper's been saying that all this time. Like, he's made it clear he wanted to hold Mike for that last shot.
I said, Coach, I got MJ. So the coach tells me, I'm gonna put Elo on MJ, and I'm like, Yeah, okay. Whatever. Fuck this bullshit.
I forgot where else I saw it at, but I saw it a little while ago. But as a Bulls fan, getting into that, before I get into that shot, I'd just like to point out, it's funny that the Knicks fans keep throwing out Oak like he was a major contributor for these Bulls chips.
He was though.
That's two of y'all now.
I'm
My
saying he
man
was
Rel
though.
threw out Oak, talking about putting Oak on the same category as Rodman with rebounds, and then now Lou tried to throw that in there too. You know, I don't know.
mean, that's the
slide Oakley in there.
I mean, that's Oakley got the Oakley was one of the best rebounders ever, bro.
He was not. He was not. I would love to challenge that.
I don't know. I mean, nobody's touching Rodman, but I don't think
nobody would put Oakley above Rodman.
Above? No, I wouldn't put him above. No, I wouldn't
put him in that class.
He's not even in the class rebounding.
No,
I don't think so. Oakley was an enforcer. Oakley was, saying he was the power forward that, saying, hold the team down. But I don't. He wasn't there not for rebounds. Not for rebounds. Yeah, I don't know. We can look up the stats, but I think
we should, because y'all giving Oak like he's a regular rebounder like the rest of the rebounders.
He wasn't. Not at all. Like I said, he was. How many All-Star games he? Yeah, he was the
All-Star game. Oakley wasn't an All-Star. Nah.
That's what I'm saying. He wasn't an All-Star. He wasn't all defense. He wasn't like. That's what I'm saying. I don't think. He was the enforcer. He was the bruiser. He was even that with Mike. Like he was Mike's
I would never claim All-Star for Charles Oakley.
If I'm talking rebounds, give me Tristan Thompson before you give me Oakley. If you're just talking rebounds.
Okay, in this era.
Put them numbers up there.
Yeah.
But back to the shot though, Chris.
But back to what I was in. My bad. I apologize.
Stay focused.
That was just something that was, it came from the Knicks fan. If Gene would have said it, I might have been okay with it. Because he ain't the Knicks.
His best year was 13.1 rebounds, 87. 86, 87. 13 rebounds.
Charles Oakley?
Yeah.
So that wasn't even on the Knicks. That was the Bulls year still.
That was a Bulls.
Bulls year.
Mm-hmm.
So he went to as I'm saying, he went to the Knicks and just became the bruiser, the enforcer. He really wasn't that dude. So, but back to the shot.
But back to the shot.
Cleveland game 5.
That shot was literally everything for me. Like, I was still growing up. That was like, I would say, my introduction into basketball fully, like being a full fan. Like, growing up, I was still young at the time. I was born in 85, so it wasn't too much I knew about the shit. But that shot was literally everything I practiced growing up, going outside in elementary school, everything. I made it to the corner or the free throw line, and I elevated up. After I hit that shot, which I hit every time, anybody in school know, you check on me. But every time
we gonna look up your school and holler at some people.
But literally, if I hit that shot, you could tell me nothing. If I hit that shot, I was doing a fist pump and everything. I was all in. I couldn't afford no Jordan jerseys. I couldn't afford no Jordan shorts. But I had on a red plain T-shirt, and I swore to God I was Mike. You couldn't tell me nothing. So I feel like that shot really, really opened up the becoming of Mike, because Cleveland was supposed to win. Everybody was saying they were the better team and everything. And to the credit of what Lou said, nobody wins with just one player. That was supposed to be where they stopped. And for them to overcome that and get past, like, it was literally just willing yourself through the victory. So that's what that shot did for me, honestly.
Gene, what about you? What are your thoughts and recollections on that Cleveland shot?
Man, that's a beyond iconic shot. Whether if you call yourself an MJ fan or not, that shot. It's on so many commercials that they have on ESPN or sports drinks commercials, and everybody tries the shot. You know what I mean? Everybody tries it. And you always, if you're a sports fan, I know me personally, I was like, I gotta always remember who he made that over. So Craig Elo is known because Jordan made the shot over him.
That's his claim to fame.
You know what I mean? So beyond the fact, like Chris said, I believe Lewis said as well, that was like helping Jordan really ascend to being that guy. He also brought up this no-name guy that nobody cares about because that's how big the shot was. And again, to go back to Doug Collins really quick, it's true. Like, it was, you can't drive a Ferrari every day, going 0 to 100 7 days a week. You gotta go into the garage and get those other day-to-day cars and use those as well, so that way everything can stay cohesive. So, kind of lucky that Mike didn't break down or
Right.
even have like a serious injury. To go back to episodes 1 and 2, that injury wasn't more serious, So, but the shot is incredible. I mean, that was like,
deep, Gina. That was a real
it.
deep analogy right there with the cars. I see you.
The craziest thing about that shot was how he couldn't even just elevate and shoot it. He had to hang for a second before he even shot it, which made it even.
He had to fight to get open to even catch the pass.
Yes.
Like that whole play, he's getting held and tugged and got off. And
because who was getting the ball besides him? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so,
right.
Nobody. Y'all follow famous Los? You follow famous Los?
Nah, I know who he is, but I don't follow him. No.
So he did a video breakdown of Jordan, right? And then he did that shot. And if you get a chance, go look. And like he slows it down and he's talking about how Jordan is elevating, breaks it down, and still elevating on the release, and it makes you appreciate it even more. Like,
he's going right to left. You know what I'm saying? Like, and still like shoulder straight, like all the fundamentals.
Right.
How to shoot and all that stuff.
Right in front of the rim.
In the rim, right? It's right, exactly. Like it's crazy. Kat, what are your thoughts on that play, that shot that we've seen over and over and over again?
I think everybody spoke on it well. I mean, it was an incredible shot.
Thank you for the deep insight.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Everybody already spoke on it.
So what else do you have? Anything you want to add about Doug Collins and those 3 seasons that he did coach Mike?
I love the moment when he told Mike, "Let me get a kiss."
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah. That was really funny.
After they had their argument.
Mm-hmm. That was like a cool moment,
So the Doug Collins era was very short-lived. Definitely his shining moment was just being able to coach Michael. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if he was a coach or was more of a fan himself. You know what I'm saying? It seemed like he was just happy to be there and happy to just, run off. Like, he was just happy to just run off the stats that Michael did. Like, yo, give him the ball. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm getting paid to do this. Go ahead. Oh, should we won? Oh, we got to keep playing? Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, Doug was just happy to be there. That shot, you know what I'm saying, that iconic moment was definitely, like I said, the UNC shot, you know what I'm saying, the game in Boston, season 2, and then that shot was one, like, those are just like moments. And then that game ended up having them face the Detroit Pistons. So now I want to focus on the Pistons, give them some flowers as well, because the Pistons is kind of, in wrestling terms, they were the heels of the league.
Right.
The Celtics was the great white hype, you know what I'm saying? No offense again, but that's what they were. The Celtics was the great white hype. The Lakers was Showtime, Hollywood, flashy, you know what I'm saying? That's what it was. Mm-hmm. Mike and them had necks, or the Cavs, it was seeing who was going to come out of that. But the Pistons came from out of nowhere, and, they was the black sheep, or the stepchild. The NBA tried to hide in the basement. And,
right.
You know what I'm saying? So they came from out of nowhere. They invented the Jordan rules. We all know what the Jordan rules are. And Rodman was a part of that. Rodman, Dumas, Isaiah,
and Beer.
You can go through the list.
Horn.
Yeah, Horn, like
Don Sally.
Like.
Yeah, so you can go down the list. We all know the Jordan rules. But before we get right into that, what are y'all thoughts on the Detroit Pistons, that 80s Bad Boys Pistons era? So, Kat, I'm gonna start with you. Give me some something to work with. All right. Go.
Well, they were like really aggressive. Like the way they played before compared to now is like super aggressive. I don't know.
Don't mind going blank here. What was aggressive? What was aggressive about them?
Just the way they play. They're just aggressive, They push and they shove, and you don't see that in basketball now. So it's like it's different.
Yeah, that was the era. I mean, they got branded the Bad Boys. But I mean, if you look back, the Celtics was doing it.
Right.
You know, there was some other dirty, quote unquote dirty. I mean, back then you could get a little elbow in, a little tug of the jersey. Certain things happened, and later on, your Knicks ended up, you know, taking on that philosophy and using those things. And Miami did a little bit, Indiana did a little bit, but they were kind of, you know, the first ones to really get pointed out as the bad boys. So
You know why?
why?
Because that team was mostly black. I'm gonna go
I
there.
mean, you can say that. I mean, Lambeer and them kind of was the ones, like Lambeer.
Right.
Lambert was adopted black, bro. You know that style.
That makes sense. It makes sense. You know what I'm saying? but yeah, I mean, it is true. I mean, they were like I said, they, you know, the black sheep, and you know, saying the heel. They were the shadow on history. They won 2 years back to back. I mean, this was the Bulls' challenge at that point, because the Bulls, you know what I'm saying, it was just Mike. It was you know, score, and Mike was, you know, with all his acrobatics, was to avoid contact, you know, switch hands, spin move, go around, and they caught him in the air. So, you know, Rel, what are your thoughts on the Jordan rules specifically?
Nah, I think they were brilliant. I mean, you know, of course, you never want to injure anybody, but if that's where the vulnerability was. You know, if you're gonna let him sit there and jump all over jump everywhere, then it's a wrap. But if you can get him before he can get up, because the Bulls haven't at that point hadn't shown any sort of like toughness where, like, you know, on a physical standpoint, that's where you had to worry about them. They knew they had that advantage, so they said, hey, if you're gonna be that good, well, you could beat us while you getting your ass whooped, then so be it. But and the Bulls and Mike specifically hadn't shown that. So I thought that was a great strategy. And like you said, they weren't the first ones to be physical like that. I think they were a little bit more blatant than other teams were, where you know, other teams did it, but they did it in front of the refs, looked at you after they finished. You know, it was like, yeah, you went up, you caught the forearm to the chest. That's what we do it. Next play, we're gonna do it again. So if you're mad, don't come right here. It wasn't more or less you try to do it, sneak, not get caught. Nah, it was like, nah, we hurting all of them. They come there, we doing this all of them. So they were a bit more blatant with it, but it's not like the rest of the league was, you know, we were good guys, and you know. But I think to Gene's point, them being black had a lot to do with it. The city they represented as well, I think, had a lot to do with it, because you know, at that point, Detroit was wild and really just known for making cars and having poor people. So you know, they didn't really care. The country didn't really care about Detroit. So when you say a team like the Lakers, if something bad happened, they probably try to sweep over the rug or gloss over it or whatever. But Detroit, they can say all they want about that. Nobody cares about Detroit. So
yeah, it was like, because Hollywood was known for drugs and parties, things like that. But they didn't really, you know, it's like, it's just Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like you said, Detroit was that. Michigan, the Fab Five, they also were looked at as a blemish on history of sports and things like that. You know what I'm saying? But it was, to us, it's culture, like, you know, that's right. And to us, the Pistons, it was that style of play was normal. You know,
right, street ball, right.
Especially when all of us in the '90s was playing ball. You know what I'm saying? This is late '80s, early '90s. So when we started playing ball, it's especially playing street ball, 21 or whatever. It's like, yo, we never liked the dude that's calling the foul on any little thing. Like, come on, man.
Like, yo, you got point game. You get fouled every time.
Right? Yep. So you make a shot.
Respect my call. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, I ain't playing with this dude no more. You know what I'm saying? So we just was used to an elbow, no blood, no foul. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The NBA was what foul? Like, you know, still get the shot off. Now they flop. We can talk about that. But back then it was, I gotta, you know, still score. You know what I'm saying? But Gene, as the Laker fan, you know, and y'all was deep too. Y'all had a deep team back then. You know, Big Game James.
Oh,
you know, Magic was, you know, Showtime. But y'all had, you know, Rambis and them was a little dirty too.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what? With Detroit, man, with that style of play, I loved it, man. I enjoyed it. I feel like it was a necessary evil, to be honest. You never seen a movie without a good antagonist, because then what's the point of the plot? You know what I'm saying? If there's no low, you can't really go high. So I feel that they had to bring Mike and them down to the lowest, to where you like, oh snap, this guy that's supposed to be the face of the league is never gonna get past these guys. So
Mhm.
then when you're watching it in real life, and for the people that see in the documentary now, when they're like, obviously everyone knows that they got past him, but when you see that development, it makes for a good story, whether if it's fake or real. In this case, it's real. And like Jarrell said, there was no qualms about it, man. You come in this paint, you get hit. We not hiding. You come back here again, we gonna knock you down again. You mad? Don't come down here. You gonna cry? Stay in the locker room. Like, you know what I mean? So I enjoyed it, man. I think it was great. I think it was necessary. Me as a sports fan, I don't feel like it was a black eye on the league. I just feel like, again, they came with that brand of basketball that's not marketable to everyone.
Right.
So they want those years to go by. Even when Detroit came back and beat my Lakers years later, that wasn't really the popular thing. You know what I mean? And even if you think like when like even though the Spurs is a great organization, how bored are we when we got to watch them in the finals? You understand what I'm saying? But it's necessary, that change of pace. But I think it was great. I think it was a necessary evil, man. I think they were needed.
I agree that all valid points, definitely all valid points. And before we get to them, actually getting over the hump and beating them, going back to Doug Collins real quick and his era of coaching, you know what I'm saying? He when they asked him about, he said he had a hunch that Phil was going to take over. It wasn't just a hunch. I do vaguely remember they talked about it. Like Phil was already assistant coach and things was going on, and Phil was already, being groomed to be the coach, and Doug knew that, and Michael knew that. Yeah. Because if you look back in time, I believe the 88-89 season, Mike had like 15 triple doubles, including like 7 in a row or something like that, 10 out of 11 games, something crazy like that, because people said he couldn't pass, so he wouldn't pass, and you're just a one-trick pony, da-da-da. So he just was like, okay, I'm running point, and Doug Collins was like, yes, you're running point. Sure.
Whatever you want.
You know what I'm saying? Mike went on a tear as the point guard. You know what I'm saying? And I believe it was about 15 triple doubles a year, something like that, 7 in a row, something crazy. Which what I'm saying, we obviously know. Russell Westbrook did it recently. Big O did it back then, but for that time, that was impressive, and that was just Mike saying like, I could do that. I can do what I want to do. Like, I can, what I'm saying? Like, keep Doug. Like, we can do this. Like, what I'm saying?
Right.
But eventually, Doug got the boot. Phil came through. And before we talk about Phil Jackson, we definitely going to give Tex Winters his flowers.
Oh, of course.
Can we talk about how Doug just ignored the shit out of Tex?
Yeah, go sit up. He didn't even want him on the bench. Like, how you not gonna have like go over there. Go behind the scorekeepers and stuff. Go way over there. Go.
That's like telling Jesus go have a seat, my man. Like
you got Jerry Krause type because he ain't get no credit. Tex Winter should be the one, on the documentary cursing everybody out.
Yeah, throughout history, I mean, the triangle offense, you know what I'm saying? It's a philosophy, it's a system. It's not even like plays. It's just placement on the court, and college is still using that. They call it the motion offense, but it's still elements of the triangle. And that was Tex, and rest in peace, Tex Winters. He was like 100-something years old. Like, he'd been coaching forever, and he needs a 30 for 30 or something. Like, we need more on Tex from back in the days. Tex Winters, he's the creator of the triangle offense.
A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, and they mentioned
Phil made it.
They gave him a little clip, but they really
gave him a little credit.
Yeah, they gave him a little credit, but Tex needs some more credit. Like, they need.
I mean, Tex has been that footnote, Tex in his system.
And by the way,
Phil Jackson did no, man. That's
right, because even then they made it seem like, he taught it to Phil, and then Phil went, no. He was running it. Phil, and we're gonna go into Phil as well. Tex was like the system man. He created that, and Phil was like the manager of the egos and the people and things like that, more so than a coach, play caller. Tex was really that dude. So I want
puppet master behind the scenes.
Yeah,
exactly. So I definitely want to give respect to Tex. He passed away a couple years ago, but Tex needs something. It's not a 30 for 30. He need a documentary. Give him, he need a good 10, 20 minutes just on him, just on the triangle stuff.
This is a Silk exclusive.